Welcome back, everybody, to MLG World Finals European qualifiers. We are getting into our second series of the day. Alliance versus the CIS Rejects. That is Artez, Iceberg, Vanscore, Always Want to Fly, and Goretz. All the players who couldn't make it on a top-tier CIS team have banded together and formed something like the North American Rejects, the CIS Rejects, versus Alliance, who everyone should know. So we have our draft already here. First pick Gyrocopter, second pick Earthshaker. I'm joined by Scant. What's up, man?
Another Lena and Leshrak ban. I think all three games we've watched now, the team with second pick uses their first phase bans on Lena and Leshrak. So just really rating those two heroes as mid laners and first picks and pushing them out of the game. And as I said in the previous series, I think it's really nice actually for anyone who's a neutral, just for a spectator, to see matchups in the mid lane which aren't meant to be sort of quite heavily favored by one hero or the other.
I think CIS Rejects. I think
Team
they're a little bit of trouble here. I mean, Gyrocopter first pick, I like the response of Earthshaker, Queen of Pain, but now that I see the Naga Siren, and I kind of like forgot that Naga Siren was, not so long ago, a really top-tier support pickup. And now that I see it in Alliance's hands, I went from going, CIS Rejects have a really good response to the Gyrocopter first pick to going, ooh, no. That's a Gyrocopter Naga Siren. It feels a little bit Alliance favored right now, but maybe that's just me over... what's the word I'm looking for? Putting too much confidence in the Naga Siren support.
I'm tempted to agree with you. I mean, for anyone, during the international watching Naga Siren, it felt like the teams that really knew how to run Naga Siren supports were just getting an incredible value out of it, to the point that, by the time we got to the finals, just needed to be banned all the time. Since then, it is one of those heroes that's dropped off quite a lot in popularity, and I think it speaks to the fact that Naga Siren is the kind of hero that gives you way more value if your team knows how to play the hero, rather than just the player knowing how to play the hero. Certainly Alliance is one of the original teams that was running support Naga back in TI3. I know EGM was the player playing it then, and he's not around now, but again, I would say the emphasis on support Naga Siren is about how your team uses it rather than the individual player. And Alliance should be a team that's very comfortable with support Naga. And honestly, you're right. Maybe we are oversimplifying it, but I instinctively I agree with you. They're looking very, very strong with just two picks.
Let's see, a couple bands out. Wisp Tuss by CIS Rejects, Phantom Lancer, and Bloodseeker by Alliance. CISR. What are some of the better responses to the Naga Siren, do you think? Is it just BKB heroes, or what is it? I mean, because the Naga Siren Ultimate is so adept at both setting up team fights and also getting you out of bad ones. Do you want more initiators, more controlling heroes? Do you pick up... Okay, controlling hero, Silencer. Yeah, okay, never mind. I see where we're going now.
Yeah, so Silence is one of the ways to just go underneath the Naga Siren, not let her do a thing. There's other ways. I feel like Naga Siren doesn't play very well from behind. It loses its value quite a lot if the enemy team's snowballing against it, because it's a bit like the Bounty Hunter in that sense. Sure, your sleep's usually good at setting stuff up, but if you're behind, usually you need all your heroes to contribute stuff and not just setup or bonuses like the track. So one way that a Naga Siren team can definitely lose is if they just fall too far behind to be able to actually get value out of when they do have those sleeps. And they've picked up the Chen actually with the Naga Siren, and this really does remind me a bit of TI3 because that was another one of their big pickups back then. I actually think they ran this combination. I think this is one of the combinations they ran with the Aki Chen, and back then it would have been EGM Naga Siren. Really, really potent. There's the potential for early game control, harassing the lanes with both the Chen and the Naga Siren, but also a lot of potential to get value out of the jungle and make stacks. And speaking of TI3, it's Admiral Bulldog's favorite hero.
This is looking Alliance. I'm just excited all around for Alliance because they've essentially brought back their TI3 squad, My Nuts, in exchange for EGM. And this squad is just so much fun to watch because they have such a unique playstyle. And immediately going into this new season, essentially, they're bringing back that old playstyle. They're picking up the Furion where no one else will. They're playing a lot of different, I think, Rat Dota situations. It's not exactly the same way they played TI3, but they're still going back to, I think, their strengths during that season. Whereas you would look at, I would say, even TI4 Alliance, where they were just adjusting so much to the meta that, you know, they weren't able to pull out the same kind of performance of previous year.
Yeah, I think probably for me the very major difference between Dota how it was then and how it is now, and why they could win with such a strong split push emphasis back then, and maybe now that's not enough, is that the jungle was way more lucrative back then. And there's a stage, I think multiple patches actually, in which the value, the XP and gold you get from jungle creeps was reduced. But stacking is back in it's, you know, it's very trendy at the moment. You know, all the teams make lots of stacks and get a lot of value that way. And that was kind of something that Alliance pioneered at TI3. Make lots of stacks, get a lot of farm, and then just like passively get further and further ahead with the split push strategy. I think right now you have to win some fights. So it's you know, it's not clear to me that the game has to be won in like a completely fighty style, which is what most teams do at the moment. I think that actually having an element of split push in your draft from the get-go is a good way to deal with the kind of fighty understanding of the meta game. But that's what I'm interested in when I look at Alliance. If I see them doing similar things to what they were doing in their glory days, like what are their fights looking like? Because all the other stuff was always like, you know, strong points for them. They were excellent at all of that stuff. I want to see how they take on these big fights, and round it off with another memorable S4 pack.
Okay, I'm down with it just because it can win mid against Queen of Pain. Like, this is a matchup I feel like I haven't seen in forever, and I'm gonna love it so much watching it. The Puck versus Queen of Pain mid, but it's also good versus Slark because the blink instant disable of Silence can catch the Slark out before he gets the Dark Pact off. It's a decently good controlling hero versus the supports like Earthshaker and Silencer. Like, there's still the iffy part where you get Blink Echo Slam before you can phase shift, but there is also the heavy amount of control factor that's going to be quite strong against those supports when you're playing aggressively, and it doesn't really care about Clockwork too much. So I think all around, this Puck pickup was really on the money, despite how out of the meta Puck has been.
Yeah, and it also speaks to the strength that S4 gave that team, the original really powerful Alliance, and why I like to see him back in this team is he always had this way of just fitting in where they needed him. So, you know, it's great for him to be the last pick of the draft because he'll just be whichever hero like slots in, does what they need him to do. He's not that personally demanding, it doesn't seem. You know, people always talk about how Loda and Bulldog could both get a lot of farm because S4 doesn't need to take farm, he takes only as much as they give him. But it's also in terms of like the role that he fulfills, in terms of, do they need something to team fight? Do they need something to gel their draft together, something to make pickoffs, to control particular enemy heroes? And it happens to be here that Puck, which is one of his best heroes, just fits exactly what they needed. So we do end up with a draft which is extremely reminiscent. I wouldn't be surprised if this was an exact replica of a draft that they did back in 2013.
Alright, starting things off. Free experience. CIS already ahead. Of course, they have been kind of scattered out. Looks like Alliance are going to go
30
for...
seconds to battle.
Are they actually going to go top lane bounty? And what is Bulldog? Oh, never mind. I'm just, like, it's been so long since I've seen Furion. I was just like, what is Bulldog doing? You know, because it's been so long since I've seen the jungle, like the early jungle Furion go to work, that I was just like, why is he still in the fountain? But they are going to go for the fight at bottom lane over the bounty rune. And looks like they will be able to get, in fact, Artez has to get himself over the trees, just barely makes it. But will have to burn through a lot of his regen quite early on. That's the power of the Naga Siren right there in the front lines, challenging everyone with the Gyrocopter, getting a lot of that magic damage out as well.
And again, like the 2013 days, the support Naga Siren here, looking to be aggressive, has that Pullman shield. She's taking some harassment, but with the base armor that Naga Siren has and the Pullman shield, it's like impossible to kill her here.
Yeah, they'd have to get the pounce from Slark, and even then it'd probably take a little while to actually get that kill. So Slark actually out of lane for a little while. They're running okay. So they're running an aggro dual lane of Naga Siren Gyrocopter. Seen this before. And then the Furion up at the top lane against the Clockwork, which works out really well for the Furion. And then we've just got a jungling Chen as normal. That's going to be probably rotating mid. Nice phase shift out from S4. Sees the Earthshaker, throwing out the Fisher and dodges it perfectly.
Do you know if have CIS Rejects played a professional game before this? Is this their professional?
I think this is their reveal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen them play at all, so we don't really know what to go on in terms of like what the approach to the game will be like, other than the draft.
The Vance Core silencer.
Yeah, he's a good silencer, and silencer often any draft that has a silencer in it, even if it's a support silencer, you end up talking a lot about the global silencers and whether they're being effective or not.
Yeah.
And certainly it does look like we're building towards that. I mean, it's very, very early in the game, but it does feel like that'll be very decisive in winning those mid-game fights.
You know what though, Scamp? This is like, despite my love of Vance Core silencer, the 4-position silencer and etc., I have watched so many support silencers lose lately. I think it's actually a perfect losing streak right now. For me watching games, no, I take that back. There was one game a team was able to pull out a support silencer and win a game. They tried it the second game and ended up losing that one. Admiral Bulldog goes down to the top lane to a Rocket as he tries to dive in for the Clockwork. Meanwhile, S4 actually drops pretty low there. That was a bit unexpected. In fact, it was entirely unexpected. Bottom lane, they're going to go for the kill on Vanscore here. Trapped up. My nuts. Able to get some damage on Vanscore, but they won't be able to finish him off.
Yeah, the Lions looking a little bit like edgy, not quite right at the start of this game, and it's a nice contrast to your points about the silencer curse of being supported and losing, because we see Bulldog go down, we didn't think he would. S4 actually nearly went down the mid lane as well just after that, and the attempt at the bot lane by Alliance themselves has not actually reaped any reward yet.
Rock it on!
Fisherbach, okay, stuck here against Vanscore, is also going to be slowed down with the curse on him. Loda's going to come in from the side, though, and I don't think there's any way they can actually commit to the kill on Ake. Still, good amount of damage laid out. Seems like the only lane that's actually going quite well for them. Oh, no! Emerald Bulldog, he's trying to help the Treants take out the battery assault damage. He's going to go for the body block, but Goretz will be able to sneak on past those pesky little devils and get a secondary kill on Emerald Bulldog. The legendary Fury not working out here. Fisher goes out, bottom lane, trying to slow him down, and Snare will be able to get the kill on the Earthshaker to start things off. Won't be able to pursue for more in the Vanscore, but again, Alliance pretty much the only lane that's really looking nice is this aggro tri-lane of theirs.
They do have a good creep score. If you just look at the last hits, like, they are getting farm all over the place.
Tower is under
but
attack.
yeah, certainly in that top lane it's not enough. And you spoke about how Nature's Prophet is, you know, going to do pretty well against Clockwork, and he was initially in terms of last hits, going for that aggression and backfight. And I think at this point he's under threat all the time. Whenever Clockwork is like 4 HP and mana, especially once Clockwork's level 6, he could just dive the Furon.
The bottom rune was taken. Top rune's going to be grabbed by Iceberg, so he gets an illusion for himself. And another rune that's actually going to allow him to do quite well against the Puck. The early illusion rune actually does quite a bit of harassment. Bottom lane, they get the Gyrocopter there. Gyro, who is left alone in lane for a little while.
Yeah, and that's not somewhere he can be. He can't be alone in lane. It's just, you know, Gyrocopter is not an off laner in this situation. He's fitting in the lanes because of the way all the other heroes are set up.
The bottle picked up by the Slark. It was passed over to the Silencer, and they get a full heal out of that one. This is very odd build, but very odd situation for a Slark in lane, that's for sure. So, level 6 is going to be coming in soon for Admiral Bulldog. And they kind of need that one just to make sure they can continue this tipping point in either the bottom lane or maybe the middle.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he maybe wants to become active on the map, because if he sits in this lane all the time, Clockwork's going to come back to the lane and just take him out. But Clockwork actually heads to the bot lane, and they're going to try and punish Loda a second time.
Iceberg gets a bit low, but the bottom lane, they will make that dive as you were talking about. Clockwork comes in from behind. Loda knows he's dead. He's just trying to get damage onto Artez because that's the only way they get the kill, and they do get it. Admiral Bulldog's ultimate will finish him off. Cogs pushback. My Nuts will probably still escape here. Wait. Was he blocked? Why didn't he just run straight up? Oh, dear. Well, this is awkward.
I feel like he was trying to dodge a hook, but Clock couldn't see him, so Clock was never going to hook there.
And Admiral Bulldog, maybe he thinks that like if he's able to get enough damage, TPN, middle lane, Iceberg does go down. Gets caught by the combination there. Coil and a orb to finish him off. 4-3 now. S4 wins his lane. They get another kill in the Slark, continually shutting him down. And Admiral Bulldog was the one who picked up that kill, who kind of desperately needed it to quickly pick up his Force Staff, which looks like is going to be the build for him against the Clockwork. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And
it doesn't work against the Slark or the Queen of Pain necessarily, particularly the Slark, but I can still see his concern. Carl, what are you doing? Oh, okay, that hook shot right into a Skeleton Warrior. So S4 is going to be just fine.
And I was wondering at the start of the game if Alliance are set up to... I mean, what's nice about their drafts is they have both options. That they could, if they gather the early momentum, they've got the Channel and the Nature's Prophet, they can actually be a pushing unit. If they go a bit behind, they have good tools for just farming a lot of the map and trying to catch up that way. But already I do feel like we're going into the one direction and not the other dimension. Chen, Aki's being kind of bullied out of his own jungle at this point.
Trapped. They're going to body block him as much as possible, but not enough for a kill. S4 is kind of being blocked out by Iceberg, making sure that Clockwork does in fact escape. My Nuts spending his time here in the bottom lane is going to be slowed down here. Can Artez actually land this pounce before he gets back to the tower? Hits it, and he does have his ultimate, so he'll commit to the kill onto the Naga Siren quite easily. Admiral Bulldog comes in, but not in time to be able to save him. Artez does get locked inside the Sprout, body blocked up, but he's very clearly going to escape.
There's a with a hook here.
Yeah, Admiral Bulldog, he's got to be careful here. Yeah, and it's going to be caught. Cogs finally gets some mana for it. Will be able to get an additional kill. Admiral Bulldog will be slowed down here. He's not getting lucky on the battery assault, but it doesn't really matter. It's very clear he is dead. My Nuts, don't tell me. Okay. I thought he was going to play real aggressively and potentially give away yet another kill. Nice block off from the Earthshaker at the top lane, stopping Loda from looping around and catching a free kill there.
Yeah, and it's a little bit worrying the way the game's shaping up for Alliance, I would say, because CIS rejects are doing well to not let them... Not let the game drop into a lull where they can just like efficiently get value out of all their farming tools, farming all different parts of the map, stacks, jungle, lanes, everywhere. And if the game keeps having these sort of small elements of chaos, it's going to be difficult for Alliance to sort of reach the rhythm that they're looking for.
Denied.
Queen of Pain, 46-15 compared to 32-4 on S4. S4 is about 400 net worth behind. So the lane is being won still by Iceberg, but the big question is, like, no matter how far ahead you are in the net worth, with these two heroes, it's more a question about are you able to utilize that net worth advantage to rotate around the map and be that tempo controller? Because 400 gold can instantly go down the drain if you make a bad gank attempt. Or just maybe S4 does more with his ganks.
No.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, the game could dramatically slope in either direction if either Queen of Pain or Puck managed to make, you know, a few good rotations in a row and actually start controlling the game. And we're gonna see that out of both of them, I think, reasonably soon. S4 will probably be happy to wait and farm towards a blink, maybe TP somewhere if needed. And
Silence. TP in from Admiral Bulldog. They're not going to be able to catch him just yet. He did pop the coil stun. The ultimate goes out. Sonic Wave turn around. Oh, he catches two there. Will be able to lock down Admiral Bulldog. Pushes back S4. Guards now locked against that Fisher, though, that he jumped right over with the hook. And will be going down to the orb of S4. So a 1-for-1 trade-off off-laner for off-laner. Full rotations on both sides, except for Artez, who continued his farming time in the bottom lane. He kind of needs it now. I was going to ask you. Does this Slark go a minus? Is he far enough behind that he needs to catch up minus? Or is he getting treads?
Well, he's gonna answer right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets the treads. It is interesting that he's struggling so much, and in that sense, even though it didn't feel like Alliance got what they wanted out of the aggressive lane, I feel like they actually did get enough.
Yeah.
I feel like, we said Loda seemed a bit behind, but Slark is even, Arthur is further behind, and that's an issue because Slark is not a gyro customer, just like quickly scoop up the stack. Well, he does get a kill on S4 though, with the help of the check, and that's some pretty important gold for him.
Yeah, certainly. He's essentially caught up. Like, he was like 5th in net worth
Dire's bottom tower
like
is
a
under
minute ago,
attack.
and all of a sudden, boom. He's at 4K right behind both the Furion and the Nature's Prophet. So certainly they had the comeback Midas is not needed anymore, that's for sure.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's sometimes possible to just like get overly concerned with the metrics early on in the game, especially where like, because it's so early in the game, what looks like a big difference between net worth or gold can change quite quickly if a few things just line up correctly. So it happens to me all the time, and then I have to like remind myself, let's rather think about what's happening in the game than all these numbers on the side, because the numbers can be misleading, especially this early.
Sure. Earthshaker's got a soul ring working towards that. Oh, nice. They're actually going to get all of Ake's creeps. So that's certainly a nice pickup. Blade mail now for our clock.
Radiant's bottom tower
I think
is
we
under
had that
attack.
discussion about Clockworks going blade mail. Oh, he's going to actually hook onto Loda right now. He's using the blade mail, and Loda correctly doesn't use rocket barrage, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to die here.
Yeah, meanwhile at S4 in the bottom lane, I wasn't sure which kill was going to happen first. Bottom lane, they do get the kill on S4's Puck again without the use of Global Silence, which is now available for Vanscore after that kill.
Yeah, it's honestly it's not what I expect from S4. I expect
Radiant's
it's a little
top
bit
tower
surprising
is
to
under
see him going
attack.
down repeatedly like this. And
Radiant structures are fortified.
I have this sense in which there's just not that sharpness about some of Alliance's plays, and to me it almost makes me think that there's conversations going on TeamSpeak, like they're not entirely like together about what they're doing, and that can be distracting for players if that's the case. I mean, I'm speculating here, but
No, I completely agree with you. This is not the performance I expect out of Admiral Bulldog or S4. Admiral Bulldog dying against the Clockwork early on twice. S4, winning his lane and killing the Queen of Pain, but then, really messing up on his rotations and getting caught multiple times now. It feels like maybe part of it is just these heroes haven't been in the meta, so he's still a little rusty on these heroes specifically, but certainly not the kind of performance you expect when their names are tied so closely to these heroes.
yeah, it just feels like a bunch of moves are just a little bit off, and to me that's intuitively that suggests to me that there's like something distracting players, like maybe there's a conversation going on, or maybe there's a little bit of disagreement about how to approach things, or Puck is gonna spot out Clockwork here.
This is really awkward because it seems like they want to go on Goretz, but they can't really.
He clearly wants them to go on him, so that's always like a sign. Like, why is this clock letting us go on him?
Hook shot, nice phase shift dodge plus the silence. That's the kind of play right there. S4 definitely dodging the gank attempt from CISR. And they are getting a lot of farm time though on Artez in the whole entire period. That's definitely something for concern.
Yeah, because Slark is such a tricky carry hero, I think, because it's not like obviously one of the top tier carries, but it does a hell of a lot with farm when it does get there, and it can get totally out of control later on.
Dire's middle tower is
Furion
under attack.
seeping in from behind. The Song of Siren goes out. Let's see if they can catch a couple of these heroes. I think they need the silence on Vanscore. Can they actually get it? Global silence gets laid out before they can do anything. And there's the ultimate! Sonic Wave blows up the puck, and they'll get some extra. My Nuts too deep. Echo Slam takes him out. Emerald Bulldog, he gets healed up by the Chen ultimate. Loda's going to come in from side. Iceberg, actually, who blinked in aggressively, may pay for that one. The Sprout's going to be able to block him out. Loda, not quite enough damage before the blink, and now Loda's blocked. Oh no, that's a blade mail into the ultimate out there. And Ake, he's going to be caught as well. That's a full 5-man wipe for
Radiant's
only a
top tower is
silencer
under attack.
and a Clockwork.
Yeah, and there's that silencer pickup. You actually asked me during the draft, what do you think it's Naga Siren? And they picked silence, and we said that could be an answer, and It's essentially what just happened there. You can't even. It feels difficult to fault Alliance for going for that move because it was a really nice sleep setup into the gyrocopter ulti, but when you have that global silence, and I think Alliance noticed that it felt like as they were starting to initiate, someone said we can't actually do this, and they started to half like withdraw while finishing off the first kill. And I mean, what do you do in that situation? You've got like this nice setup, but it gets completely ruined because all you get off is one spell and then silence uses his ulti.
Minot stuck inside the pounce. Artez pops the ultimate, but the Dark Pack was already blown, so Minots will actually get out. And that is the first reveal of the Shadow Blade, so small bit of luck for Alliance. Regen now for S4. Who's still working on that Blink Dagger. Again, I feel like S4 was a bit off on that last team fight. Like, I think it was pretty clear they knew they had to go on the silencer, but his orb silence just wasn't on time. You know, and I'm not sure if he had used the orb previously and maybe it was on cooldown, but he was just like a second late, you know. Like, again, that situation where it's not by much, but it's just slightly off that kind of ends up costing him quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're saying he's playing badly. It's just that we expect so much from him that, you know, when he's not at that extremely high standard, a bit off, that it feels a bit funny.
Yeah, certainly.
The Naga Science dynamic is going to improve a lot for Alliance as the game goes longer, as long as the game does go longer, because at the moment it looks like there's potential for them to be just knocked out of the game quite early on. Because Naga Siren's ulti is going to get a reduced cooldown if she does get to level it up once or twice, whereas the Siren's ulti is always going to have a very long cooldown. And I think that's the dynamic that could play in Alliance's favor if we do get to a late game scenario.
Tier 1 tower does get dropped by Artez. So he just picked up his Shadow Blade, already has another 1800 gold, so he can start working on something like S and Y still, go for the early PKV. We'll see what happens. Tier 1 at the top lane looks like it's also going to go down. Iceberg definitely going to be attempting to deny with the Earthshaker. Enchant Totem. Global Silence gets laid out the right-hand side. They've caught the Naga Siren. Will be able to get that kill moving forward. Get Carl as well. S4 gets dropped. They got the deny. They got 2 kills. CIS rejects are just on a roll right now.
Yeah, and honestly, I was talking about Slark being like unconventional, maybe not as mainstream, but he's gonna go for Chenya as well. I think this is another kill. And Slark is the kind of hero in this position in the game that's really going to be able to bully Alliance.
Nice dodge.
They've essentially got the Puck, which can control Slark, maybe in a fight on a pickle. But Puck's not having a great time himself. He's still not got his blink at 18 minutes. And it's just this is now a situation where Slark can run rampant. He's on his way to his next item, and he can just freely go around the map, like bullying people alone, take risks, because it's very difficult for him to die, even if he does take a risk, even if he does get caught out.
Loda, is he dead as well? No. I think Loda is just a bit too dangerous for this arc. Oh, and he didn't actually have enough mana.
Top tower is
So
under
that was
attack.
actually the reason why. Obviously,
He probably considered.
Goretz probably going to be going for the Glimmer Cape as his next item, and he's very close to it.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant
Lions
structures
look like they
are
probably get a
fortified.
tower here, though there's a TP from the
Oh, he's got a Blink Dagger, so he will get out.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
But,
I actually thought they'd bring in the Clockwork first, but yeah, a bit risky. If he had been caught out there, he would have just gone down.
yeah, without the Echo Slam, it's I think you're right. Or Clockwork definitely needs to be the first one in for sure. He probably just really wants to finish up his Glimmer Cape. Ake is going to be dove here. And once again, Ake. He was so close to getting off that ultimate, but no such luck.
And it's an awkward time to be a Chen. We've spoken about support heroes like Bounty Hunter or Nagas. There's certain support heroes that contribute in quite particular ways. And I mean, this is a Chen who's got into his mech. He's got the items he needs, but
oh man, there's only so much you can do. S4, the Global Silence deck. He ran into Iceberg, but the Global Silence makes sure that Iceberg definitely wins that fight. He's got the Aghanim's, he's got way more stats than our Puck does, and he is now going to have an Orchid much before the Puck as well. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we spoke about the Naga counter, we said silence, it could be that. I also mentioned earlier on that just, you know, going ahead. And honestly, at this point, I feel like both of Alliance's support heroes, Chen and Naga Siren, like, there's a very limited role that they're trying to perform, and the game is not in a state where they can perform the role that they're good at. So, Alliance are in a very, very awkward space right now. And I don't know what their plan will be to try and come back.
Oh, nice block off there from the Earthshaker. Calldown's going to be laid out, though. Earthshaker's very dead, but he will be able to get the kill in the chat and set up the rest of the team fight. Wombo Combo. That's the name of that one. Takes out a quick 3 heroes, all in exchange for the Earthshaker. Now they're going to take the tier 2 tower at the top lane, too, it looks like.
Yeah, I just don't think the progression of the game is anything like what Alliance sort of imagined during the draft. This is not what they saw happening, and because of what's happened, their draft is just not suited to recovering very well yet. They could try and split push, but look how much catch there is to get them. This 4 actually might be in trouble.
Yeah, he's dead.
And that seems more like a, you know, recognizing the state of the game. Let's just, you know, try something out. I feel like if it's early in the game's more even. S4 doesn't go for that kind of move.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Earthshaker will finish up his 4-staff in the bottom lane. Loda just has the Ring of Aquila and Ogre Club. He's working towards a BKB, but it's got to be a long time coming, which means that Blade Mail, Orchid, and even just Slark as a whole is going to be all the more effective against Radiant side, or the Dire side.
There's 4 heroes on CIS rejects that are richer than Loda. That's never a place that Loda wants to be in. You know, there are some one-position players who like are more adaptable in that sense. And I'm not saying Loda's not inherently adaptable, but the way that he's run, the way that he's played for the longest time now, is as an actual one-position.
Oh, there goes that guy. Iceberg, still going to be silence up. Global silence gets laid out though, and Iceberg will be able to escape, or maybe not. Loda's fought him. Right next to the trees, not going to be able to get the neutral denied, but there is a significant turnaround here. Vanscore still trying to finish off S4, won't be able to catch him. Admiral Bulldog is coming in from the side. This could be a good opportunity for them to get more pickoffs, so hookshot misses. Things are turning out okay so far for Alliance. They can actually get Vanscore as well here. Be a little bit close. Vanscore does survive. The rest of the team starts backing up. Loda has to pop his ultimate because Slark is here, and Ake will go down. In the end, it's still CIS rejects far enough ahead that they will be able to win the fight despite some awkward engagements.
Yeah, definitely they wouldn't be happy with Quap going down, but exactly as you said, because they're that far ahead, they've got this kind of buffer, it doesn't matter that much. If the game was a bit closer, that would be a very costly death for them. And maybe just not aware enough of... The global science gives them a huge advantage for those few seconds, but after it runs out and after you've expended themselves, that's when you need to be sensitive as a team running that silencer, because you get used to the idea of just being comfortable in these fights when you get so much value during the global silence. If you haven't dealt with the entire enemy team, if you just killed their supports and global silence runs out, you need to be a bit careful. That's when there can be that kind of like backswing.
I did not realize how much intelligence this silencer has stolen. He's at 24 by 24 minutes in. So he's been around a kill every 2 minutes.
Well, it is Vanscore, right? He's like the ultimate support silencer.
He really is.
And I guess he must have heard you talking about that curse, like wanted to prove you wrong.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if any team's gonna make it work, I'll expect the Vanscore team to make it work. And tier 2 tower does get dropped 27-9 right now, as Alliance are just looking to split push.
Yeah, I feel like Alliance, they're gonna get that BKB up on Loda, and they're gonna get into a fight, and if they lose that fight, the game is probably just over.
Yeah.
If they win that fight, like maybe that's the start of recovery, but the fact that there's Roshan going down to CIS rejects now makes it all that much less likely for Alliance to take the fight.
Oh, S4. Maybe just a little bit later he would have actually gone for a jump like that. The Orchid onto S4. He will survive there though. Nice phase shift. He's still got the silence as well. Iceberg's kind of trapped here. This would be a very big kill if they could pick it up, but the rest of the team is coming in from the side. They got to be careful here. Iceberg, Global Silence, there it is. My Nuts needs to be able to get off the ultimate in time to save these heroes, but Ake's already dead. Now the ultimate goes off, and it's full retreat for Alliance, but they lost Aegis, and they're going to lose their Chen as well. And My Nuts, Goretz, he locks it right on there with the hook shot, claims the additional kill for CIS Rejects.
Yeah, honestly, again, you can see each piece of Alliance's draft not quite working out, and to me it does sort of feel like their draft would be doing really well. It's a well-constructed draft if they took a bit of a lead early on, or at least stayed even. But playing from behind, it doesn't feel like everything adds up too well. It doesn't, like, there aren't enough options for getting value out of support Naga Chen combination when you're playing from behind.
Artez on the hunt, double damage. Yeah, they instantly jump on Iceberg. Can they kill him though in this 3 seconds? Doesn't look like it. He'll blink himself away, and Artez will find a pick off on Emerald Bulldog. Force staff over the tree. Oh no, he didn't wait out the leash. You know, wait just a little bit longer on that pounce, and he could have gotten himself up the cliff and maybe lived, but it's not the case.
It's looking very bleak for Alliance. It's looking, I said before, and I mean I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's looking like, you know, there could be a fight coming up soon, which just sees them tapping out.
TP out, My Nuts! He's dead. Top lane. Iceberg may get blown up by the call down. Oh, they get the return kill. Just puck for the Queen of Pain is certainly worth it right now, but it's still all those extra pickoffs that is not working to Alliance's favor.
Well, it's quite a chunk of gold for Loda at least, and I do think that if they could give gold to anyone right now, it would be him. It's his items which give them a chance of taking a big fight. Probably no one else is really.
Artez. Alright. Bonk.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Forces some attention to the middle lane. Goretz is doing a bit of split pushing. Of course, he's a clockwork, not the most feared physical damage right clicker on towers or anything, but he has a solar crest now. Wow.
He's just got everything in the world. I mean, he doesn't have a 4-star, interestingly, which is usually very common on Clock, but he's got every other item that a Clockwork could want. I mean, his teammates have a bunch of 4-stars, so why does he need one?
Yeah. So utility is the name of the game for Goretz. Loda is going to be jumped on by Artez, who still has his ultimate, so he just forced out the BKB. He's happy.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, and again, there's this contrast here with the amount of utility in terms of the heroes and the item pickups on CIS Reject compared to the utility from Alliance. It's not just they have 2.5, maybe even 3 greedy-ish cores. I mean, Puck's not a greedy core, but he took so long to get his blink back, it felt like he had to take up space. It's also that their supports are not that adaptable, and if you know, in terms of a measure of how many cores do you have that need to take up space, how many do you have that can make that space, how many supports that can be adaptable to the situation, I do think there's more balance around the schedule.
Jump on S4, Global Silence pop just to make sure that Initiator does stay dead. Echo Slam locking in at the Sonic Wave to wipe them both out. Double kill. Ake's going to fall as well, and this very could be that one team fight you're talking about that just forces Alliance to call GG. They do have Admiral Bulldog pushing up the top lane, and Loda comes back, but he calls it. He knows he's dead in his second life. He doesn't have the BKB to defend himself. And Alliance, I mean, they just got their butts handed to them in this game. There's no other way to say it. CIS Rejects had their number. And it just comes down to a lot of the early game that snowballed against them. Like, it felt like at a certain point we got to a point where it was just like Alliance, no matter how perfectly they played, they were going to eventually lose this game just because CIS Rejects were able to pick up such a big lead in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and a remarkable debut for CIS Rejects.
Certainly. So the old boys looking good, but we'll see what happens. We are going to go into a game 2 now and see if Alliance can keep their hopes alive for the MLG World Finals, or if it's going to be a clean 2-0 for CIS Rejects.